The last type of substitution we'll look at is a secant substitution. In general, these are going to be things that look like x squared minus a squared. And this looks similar to our sign substitution. The main difference is there, our constant came first, and here our variable comes first in the subtraction. And in this case, we'll let x be equal to a secant theta. This gives us a squared secant squared theta minus a squared. We can factor out the a squared and get secant squared theta minus 1, which is tangent squared. In addition, we can form our triangle we know that secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. And then the Pythagorean theorem gives the missing side. So we'll do a couple of examples demonstrating the secant substitution. Here, I have the integral of the square root of x squared minus 9 over x dx. We'll let x be equal to 3 secant theta, which means dx is 3 secant theta tangent theta, d theta. Therefore, I end up with the square root of 9 secant squared theta minus 9 all over 3 secant theta times dx, which is 3 secant theta tangent theta d theta. Simplifying gives 3 tangent theta over 3 secant theta times 3 secant theta tangent theta d theta. We can simplify a little bit more and realize this is the integral of 3 tangent squared theta d theta. We now need to evaluate this. And we can use our reduction formula for tangent, or I can use my Pythagorean identity. Say that tangent squared is the same thing as secant squared theta minus 1. The integral of secant squared is tangent, and the integral of 1 is just theta. My original substitution was x equal to 3 secant theta. So if I think of my triangle, secant is hypotenuse, or rather, hypotenuse over adjacent. So my missing side here is x squared minus 9. Tangent is opposite over adjacent minus theta. And for theta, we're going to solve the original substitution and realize that it's my inverse secant of x over 3 plus c. So we now have our final answer here. Our next example really doesn't look like a secant substitution. It looks like a completing the square problem. So let's complete the square. In this case, we would divide -8 by 2 to get -4. Squared is 16. So I both add and subtract 16 from my square root. This now gives me x minus 4 squared minus 36 dx. Before we do an actual substitution using secant, I'm going to let u be equal to x minus 4, and then du is dx. So this is now the integral of u squared minus 36 dx, which now looks a lot more like my secant substitution. Here, I'll let u be equal to 6 secant theta. So du, not dx, is 6 secant theta tangent theta d theta. Substituting in, then gives me 36 secant squared theta minus 36 under the square root. And the du becomes 6 secant theta tangent theta d theta. Simplifying, my square root becomes 6 tangent theta times 6 secant theta tangent theta d theta. Therefore, I have the integral of 36 tangent squared theta secant theta d theta. So now I need to deal with this integral. My trig integrals tell me that I need to use the fact that tangent squared is secant squared theta minus 1 times secant theta d theta. This gives me the integral of secant cubed theta minus secant theta d theta. Using the reduction formula for secant cubed and evaluating the integral of secant theta gives us that this is 1/2 secant theta tangent theta minus 1/2 times ln of secant theta plus tangent theta plus c. We now need to move back in terms of u, and we had that u was equal to 6 secant theta. Therefore, since secant is hypotenuse over adjacent, the other side would then be u squared minus 36. Simplifying this then gives me 18 times secant, which is hypotenuse over adjacent, times tangent, which is opposite over adjacent, minus 18 times ln of u over 6 plus the square root of u squared minus 36 over 6 plus c. The final step is then to move this back in terms of x. And we know that u is equal to x minus 4. We'll erase our triangle to make a little room. I have 18 divided by 6 divided by 6, which gives me 1/2. And this is x minus 4 times the square root of x minus 4 squared minus 36 minus 18 times ln of x minus 4 plus the square root of x minus 4 squared minus 36 all over 6 plus c.